Are y'all ready to get this started? 3, 2, 1. Hey, I know what time it is.
You know what it is.
You are now tuning into the best business radio program in Central VA.
Turn it up.
On the mic with Mike on WJFM Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. This is the Business CEO Roundtable. We're coming to you from Lawn Trampoline Park. We'd like to thank LaShawanda Moore for hosting us here. This is an awesome facility, so if you ever need a place for networking to have a great time, so we just did the dodgeball tournament here a couple weeks ago. It was phenomenal. They have everything from laser tag to the battle pit to dodgeball. The kids will have a great time, plus the food is great here as well, but they're champions for the community. This is the Mike King Biz Radio Network. That is ESPN Richmond, 106.15 to 7 a.m., The Choice, 105.3 every day from 2 to 3, as well as International Business Growth Radio. We'd like to thank our sponsors right here, Crystal Clear Financial Solutions. That's her down the bottom, so she is there. Also, Dr. Heather Williamson, right there behind us. Transformation. So if your business needs to be uplifted, transformed, whatever, you need to go to our leadership doc and talk to her. This is Panel B. We're talking to business owners, and before we're talking to chamber presidents. We're talking about the state of business. We're going to go down and talk to some of the great folks here. Some folks that go way back, and others are new to the family, so that people understand what we do. We are talking about how business helps society be better. We're going to start off with our good friends from Anchor Inn on the left.
Hello.
It's like Kelly Davis isn't ready to talk. I mean,
we thought we were going to start on the right.
That was
switched it up.
I did great. You know, she. All right, so Kelly and Charles Davis, they do a lot in the community. I met her out at Brandon Mill, and I didn't know who she was, but I've quickly learned. Leadership coaches as well as military veterans. The whole shout out to Uncle Sam's Army. There you go, my man. Shout out to him. He was a matchmaker for me 40 years ago, and I thank him for that. But what you guys do in the community as far as leadership goes, let's talk a little bit about that. Intro who you are.
Hi, I'm Kelly Swazo Davis. I'm the CEO of Anchor Inn Leadership. We focus on working with senior leaders through coaching, training, staff development in the area as well as nationally. We have committed over 15 years, leveraging 15 years in government and corporate space to be able to bring those skills to work with senior leaders. In the community, I serve as the chair for the WBC at the Chesterfield Chamber. So that's the Women's Business Council there. We serve, my husband and I, so he'll introduce himself in a little bit. We serve across the military communities as well. And we work both, in the space of government, corporate, and we also work with mid-level leaders to be able to help them harness their skill of how to lead others. So with that being said, I'll hand it over to Charles, and he'll be able to introduce himself.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I'm Charles Davis. As Kelly said, we own and operate Anchor Inn Leadership. I bring to the table 20 years of military experience at the senior level, junior level. And so we really, I guess about 5 years ago, upon launching our business, we understood the leadership gap and the training gap that exists not just in the DoD, but as well as corporate and senior leaders, and how to really maximize your talent, and also not just maximize your talent, but in train your teams to compete, right? And to outpace the competition around us. So how do you do that? So we really focus on the training, the coaching, and as well as maximizing your teams and building your teams in order to basically whatever your competition is to outperform them. And we take that at heart. That's what we do. Not only that, we also serve. We're big into community and serving our community where we're at. So as soon as we got here, we rolled our sleeves up and got involved in our local community. We believe in bridging the gap, being gap builders as well, in order to build a community that's sustainable for the future. So thank you, Mike, for inviting us and having us here.
All right, Mindy.
Good morning, my name is Mindy Flanagan. I'm the owner of Inspiring HR. We are a nationwide
nationwide small business HR consulting service. But we started here in the Chesterfield County area back in 2007, and now have grown again to this nationwide client base, which we didn't really intend, but remote work works, and COVID put that on hyperdrive, so everybody's got remote employees, so now we have a nationwide client base. But the vision behind Inspiring HR is HR done differently for small business owners. Many of them are entrepreneurs who have an opinion that may be incorrect about where HR support may lend value to their business. They don't need a full-time HR person, typically with 50 employees or less, so how do you build in HR infrastructure into that business systematically according to your business plan so that you can empower those leaders to really make good day-to-day employee management decisions?
Alrighty, Bill Lund.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Bill Lund with SQL Data Partners. Our mission is to eliminate the pain of working with data so companies can do more. We use Microsoft tools to help companies visualize their data, to manage their data, and to be able to make better decisions because they have access to reports and they have access to all of their data. We like to give back to the community. One of the ways we do this is through our podcast. I think we're fast approaching 250 episodes of our podcast where we teach and train people on how to use Microsoft tools. We're also currently doing a free webinar every other week to help people understand the basics of working with SQL and SQL tools.
Dr. Heather.
Yes, I'm Dr. Heather Williamson, owner of the Transformation Group, and we work with leaders who are helping them overcome their, let's say, performance challenges and increasing their effectiveness and having them to be less stressful, have more free time, because that's important these days, and increasing their, get higher profits by 20 to 30%, because I'm a psychologist, so it's all about quantitative stuff that we were talking about earlier. And
that is true. I heard, what is it? What's your line? If you can't.
Oh.
There you go.
If you can't manage what you can't measure. So
exactly. So I'm big on measurement. And as a result of my dissertation, I really focused on trust. I had written a book, and it's called Magnetic Trust: How Great Leaders Keep Top Performers and Get Extraordinary Results. And you can find that on my website, transformationgroupllc.com, or Amazon. And then, like you, I'm really big about giving back and sharing leadership tips and strategies. So during, COVID, I created a YouTube channel, which actually, where I share weekly tips and strategies focused on leadership. And that's Dr. Heather Williamson.
One of the things is, so this is the business roundtable with business leaders. We're leadership heavy right here with understanding. But we have the HR lady here as well. And when we talked to my friend Danielle Gilbert, HR scares people. Yeah. Because it's kind of like they're for the person, but they're the company. Mm-hmm. Ma'am, the floor is yours. This bill dispels some of our phobias about HR. Please.
Well, it's all a matter of mindset, really, and a lot of people's mindsets are stuck within what is their historical reference or experience with HR.
Which is two things. Mm-hmm. The first day or the last day.
Right.
There's not many parts in between where we see the HR person high and we keep it moving.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. So, if you want to talk modern day workplace, and everyone at this table I'm sure would agree, it is all about the employee experience.
Yes.
How are you going to hire the best talent and then retain that talent to do as she wishes, which is improve things by 20 or 30%. HR is at the heart of the employee experience. It doesn't matter if you have an HR person or not. What's your HR infrastructure that empowers your leaders to make good hiring decisions and be great coaches and mentors to get the best possible results out of the talent that you're employing? What drives me crazy is this mindset of, I don't need HR, I don't want to talk to HR people, because historically, I will be the first to tell you, my profession 20 years ago or so, or more maybe, they were known as the police, the Terminator. They made things way more complicated than they needed to be. They talked over people's heads, hence our vision of HR done differently. It's all about relationships and being the explainer in chief and putting in place infrastructure, supporting HR infrastructure that makes sense to the leader team you have that affects the day-to-day employee
Because
experience.
HR does play into the part with, Bill, with the technology part as well.
Yes.
Letting folks know what you can and cannot do on that computer that they handed you on day one.
Yeah, I mean, you have to spell out to people, if it's a company-owned computer, there is no expectation of privacy. You really have to be intentional with your communication and expectation setting so that, again, you're setting people up to succeed, not playing gotcha with them.
That is something. So, Bill, when you talk about how do you groom leaders, when we talk about this, so we have the leadership doc here, we have the Davises who are here with us in a big organization. How do you groom leaders, and what is it that you see in a person that says that person may have something?
I think it starts at the hiring process, is making sure that you take people through, and you not only see that they have the skills and ability to do the job, but do they have the personality, do they have that desire inside to want to be more than just what they're starting off as? Do they want to grow with the company? Do they have that desire? And then help them catch that vision. If they have that vision, and then you know they have that vision, as a leader, you're going to help develop them. You're going to put them on a program to advance, to have opportunities. When you know that there's a special project that you know might be difficult, but you know this person can grow from it, you're going to put that person in that role, in that project. And I had that experience with someone I hired. I just saw the potential, I saw her drive, and she moved up several positions, but I knew that was in her, so I kept a special eye on her, made sure to reach out. Even when she failed, we continue to work with her until she was able to get through that. And I think it's important to start even from that very first interview I had with her, all the way to when she continued to advance.
So, Kelly, you've been on the DoD side, Charles, you've been on the military side. Let's talk about leadership within those organizations, because a lot of times people think DoD, when you come in the door, you ain't leaving until 30 years later. Let's talk about what leadership looks like there. And then we've had the conversation about what military leadership is as opposed to in the civilian world as well.
Yes, so part of our mission at Anchor in Leadership is train the professional, empower the person. And the reason for that is, just as Bill was sharing, when you have a leader, whether it's a senior level leader, director level, supervisor, if that leader is not trained on how to adequately build themselves as a leader, character, all that falls within integrity, how to build trust with other people, how to in turn galvanize a team, then that person cannot fully morph into the leader that they probably envision. So for us, being able to be in the space, as a DoD employee, I was able to see, hands-on in the government, what does it look like to go up different levels within, we say that the GS ranks. What does that look like? I was in the corporate space, in the financial space with ADP, so implementation consultants. How do we go up? How do we build those virtual teams at that time? That was 2016, 2017. How do we do that and really get people to move and support the vision of the organization, the growth, the milestones that need to be met, but how does a leader do that? We all enamored with the Jeff Bezos of the world, but they started with a vision. They had to then in turn pour into other people to help them come up and support that vision. So within organizations, within governments, for leaders, when we speak to them, we let them know, share your vision, share your milestone projections with your team. Bring them along so they can be able to help you get there. And while you're doing so, ensure that you see your people. Ensure that you're serving your people, you're listening to your people, and you're able to take them through their progression as well within their career. So it's all about a collaborative, collective workspace. When we're talking about the DoD, corporate sector, nonprofit, community entities, is all leaders being able to take that responsibility of not just developing themselves, but developing the people around them.
Yeah, that's good. And I think to kind of bring it all together, like you said, is there's a connection between DoD leadership, being an Army officer, wherever you're at in the military, that's transferable to what we civilian sector to corporate. And we acknowledge that, right? And really is, how do leaderships train? I think that's the common theme. How do you train who you hire? And how do you retain who you hire? And there needs to be emphasis on leader development through that process. How do you not just recognize good leaders, but also, like you said, recognize their potential and grow that potential so that they are thriving in your organization and help achieve that bigger vision, sharing that understanding, sharing that vision. So in a nutshell is leadership counts, and we're here to speak towards that, but also to develop and grow leaders to develop other leaders.
That's good.
So, Dr. Heather, are great leaders born or are they trained and made?
So I'm a firm believer, because if you think about leaders, they all don't have, not
Character.
picking on you, but, gray hair or men, or they're not 6 foot too tall, and leaders are actually developed. So it's leadership traits like you're learning how to communicate effectively, how to, exhibit integrity and be accountable. Self-accountability is huge, because you can't tell one person to do something and then you not do it yourself. If they say, oh, I want you to, work an extra 10 hours today, or work 10 hours today, not extra 10, good Lord, but work 10 hours today, but then they see you, leaving at noon to go play golf. You're not exhibiting those character traits that you're expecting your people to. So you've got to know that you're up on stage 8 hours a day if you are the leader, because they're watching you, they're listening to you, and what you're doing, they're following your lead. So you've always got to know, and those leadership traits that develop, that make you who you are, they're learned. We learn them, from when we're real little, even if it comes down to as they're growing up. I mean, I'm a big proponent of my son. Look somebody in the eye, shake their hand. So I'm trying to teach my son from an early age, how to, stand tall and speak clearly and actually, complete sentences.
That is true. When we talk about leadership, and we always joke, and we always say, even in the military, you don't ask the generals what's happening. You ask the people who are on the ground what's happening. When leadership, and I used to work at a place, and it was a private company, and the owners would always say, hey, we're going to give you this information even though we do not have to. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no financial information. Because their idea was just like, it will work. We'll work better if you have an understanding of why we are doing things. Bill, let's talk about your idea of that. What's your opinion about doing something like that? Does it make sense to you, the reason why someone would do something like that?
It does. And so I think transparency is something that employees want to see today. They want to see, okay, why are we making these decisions, right? What's driving that? And so I've seen success. We have one of our clients, one of the reasons they utilize us to help them with their data is because they produce the financials for the company every day to all of their employees. All of their employees can see the financials for the company, and
Okay,
it
hold on a second. Hold on. You know the funny part about that is, when we first moved here, a restaurant closed down, and it was right before Christmas, and they closed up, and that was it. I'm like, wow, that is really brutal. They're closing up right before Christmas. But then I thought about, if they told people that we're going to close in 2 weeks, who shows up tomorrow?
That's right.
So I'm showing you the financials, because things are looking good. I'm walking around with my chest stuck out. Things are really good because I'm the man. But what happened when I hit that? Things aren't so good. Now I got to come and say, hey, folks, this is what it is. We're the Phillies and not the Yankees when it comes to the money. And things are not working out well. And all of a sudden, I see HR getting notices where you're like, well, Bill put in his 2 weeks, and, Mike, and all of a sudden, because Is that a danger to that?
Well, I've seen some creative ways to address that. Sometimes I've seen companies, they knew that they were going to go out and I worked in the staffing business for a number of years, and I saw companies say, hey, we're going to end this distribution center. We're going to close it out. And so what they said, look, guys, we're closing in 3 weeks. We'd like for you to stay. And if you stay, we'll offer you a financial incentive to stay for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So they offered a carrot. Now, did that work? No, because some people just went down the road. But some people stayed because they offered something, and they also saw that the management team was being transparent with them, that they weren't trying to do that, like you said, Mike, all of a sudden, hey, 2 weeks before Christmas, we're closing the doors. So they appreciated the honesty with them.
Have you think it's changed somewhat because of technology or people in general, that we have to, as business owners, we have to be more open now than we were in the past?
I think so. And I think it's also because of the Gen Zs and the millennials. They are more astute and inclined to research, to know and ask the questions, what's going on, what are we working towards, where are we going, in the sense of this project, what is it used for? So, and they have access to information. And transparency really allows also the organization to build that culture of we in this together. This is what's going on. This is what we're aiming for, and right now we're hurting on this end. So, you know what? How about some cross training? So things of that nature, and those conversations is what brings about after, being as transparent as possible. But to answer your question, Mike, I think is the access to information and the feasibility for employees to be able to get that information about their employers of what they're doing.
That is true. Mindy, this is On the Mic with Mike. This is our CEO and Business Leader Roundtable. We're talking about, this is turned into a leadership conversation because it should, because I got leadership experts here with me. So, Mindy, are people more, more equipped when they come into HR now than they were 15, 20 years ago as to whether it's their rights or their Dr. Heather, do you think I've been in HR before? You think there might be something there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to have to hear this story at some point.
Okay, so here's the story.
Okay, tell me.
So there was a guy.
I get some context.
When a person says, hey, let me tell you. So there was a person who was the HR person, and he wanted to be my friend.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about that because when we are there talking about the company, who am I talking to? Am I talking to my friend or am I talking to Mr. HR? I sided on, I'm talking to Mr. HR. And we didn't become real friends. Something funny? No. But because that was that fear kind of like HR. And the HR was, you show up the first day, everybody's really nice, you don't know anything. And it's kind of like when a person says, when I was over at WNTW, they said, Mike, can we talk to you for a moment? I'm like, listen, I was in the Army for 20 years, I've been married for 40 years. Nothing good follows, can I talk to you for a moment? You don't get promoted, you're not getting a bonus, nothing. If you ain't gonna give me a bonus, you're just handing it to me and saying, here, congratulations. That's why you do HR differently.
Yes, that is part of why I am a fan of HR done differently, because it's what I would say. My friend Robin Green taught me this when I went through my own sales management training class. Everybody's got to get rid of the head trash. So to answer your question,
I like that.
I do, head trash. Don't let head trash get you down. Don't look
Because it
backwards,
will.
look forwards. Yeah. Right. So my answer is I believe HR is being occupied by more transparent, more informed, more highly educated people who are better understanding the role of HR in businesses large and small. We understand that we are there not to be the employee psychologist or some sort of place where employees just come and complain, and we become the time wasters in the psychologist chair.
Do you think that that's what people have thought of HR as.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
for sure.
Yes, this is one of the reasons small businesses think I want nothing to do with HR, because their historical experience with HR has been employees just go there to complain and nothing gets solved or fixed, and it's all a bunch of waste of time. That is not what HR is supposed to be. HR needs a seat at the strategy table so that they can do what's expected of them, which is support leaders and support employees, but never be there to undermine the leader-to-employee relationship. We are there to make sure there's connectivity between the leader and the employee. We are never there to undermine it. So, for instance, when a leader says, I want the leader title, but I really don't want to do one-to-one meetings, I really don't want to handle performance review, here, have HR do it. The answer is no. HR does not supervise that employee day over day. HR is there to help the leader get comfortable with coaching sessions and annual reviews, but we are not there to do the leader's job for them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And so the best time to engage HR as far from a strategy standpoint is before you go into business, I would guess.
If I had my wish, any small business owner that thought they were going to have even just more than a couple of employees on payroll would sit down with an HR person and say, what is a reasonable strategy for HR? What are the HR components of my business plan for year 1, for year 3, for year 5, for year 10? And you can scale HR growth in your organization according to your growth plans.
When people show up at your doorstep, what's the thing that's on fire with them right now?
I need to terminate an employee for some reason.
Bill? What about Dr. Heather? What was I saying?
Yes.
But I don't want it to be that way. And I have to tell, I'll give everybody an example on Friday. Client called 3 o'clock on Friday. This happens all the time. Everybody on my team is done with work at 3 o'clock, so I stay available between 3 and 5. And this is what I told the client. I hear your emotional pain with this employee, and I know you want to go in for the kill. This is not the time, and here's why. And I got them to step back and take a deep breath and think about it, and then we would reconvene today on how they were either going to keep coaching that employee up or try and have a reasonable conversation with them about why that workplace wasn't a fit for them any longer. But small business owners right now in particular are feeling the immediate pain of, this isn't working, I need it fixed right now because I have 20 other things pressuring me to get done. We're trying really to have a little bit more holistic approach about not squandering our talent too soon.
Okay. Charles, let's talk about, if we would, the military's change from a leadership standpoint over your 20 years. What's the difference?
There's a lot. There's a little, but I think the difference is that understanding how to get better at what you do and get better every day. And that's how you change, right? So it's how do I get better every day, how I communicate with those under me and beside me every day, and how do I integrate and build a team, because honestly in the military you can't hire or fire, so to speak, your teammates. You come into a unit, for example, I come into a unit, I'm a commander and I come in at fault. I inherit that unit. And my job is at that point to build a cohesive unit from all different backgrounds. So, which makes my job easy and fun, but also challenging, right? So, and part of that leadership strategy is, hey, I have every different diversity in age, diversity in gender. You have all of this coming into your unit or your company or your staff level, and you get to engage people culturally. You get to engage people in their thought process generationally as well. So with that, there's unique experience for growth, for leadership growth, and for friction, and how to handle conflict, mitigate conflict, resolve conflict, and grow out of that. So it's a great time, especially now with technology and integrating technology and integrating all this various thought into really how do we make our organization better, resilient, healthy, and really engaged in serving our nation and our communities well.
Bill, what do you think it'd be like to lead a company that you can't fire people? If that's what he has. You have to coach him up.
But you have to coach them. You have to know the people and how you can help them get the most out of their talents and abilities that they have.
Yeah.
Are there ways you can train them? So I'll give you an example, Mike. I have one of our operations manager, our company. She came to me and said, "I'd really benefit if we had a daily meeting at the beginning of her day and go over priorities for the day." So we have a 15-minute meeting every day. We go over priorities for the day, and then we're aligned. We're aligned. There's clarity. She has clarity of purpose for the day, and she has clarity of purpose for the week, but yet we do this every day. Every day we have a 15-minute meeting. And I think it's a powerful meeting. It helps both of us know what we're going to expect from one another. And she said, the great thing is she shared that's what she needs, right? So I know what she needs. And so it's been very helpful for us and very helpful for our company.
Before she came to you with that, was that something that you thought that was needed?
We were having a weekly meeting, Mike. And so that weekly meeting, she said, "Boy, I'd really like to meet more often." So I heard that and said, "Well, we could do that. That's not a problem. I have 15 minutes every day. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to be on the same page."
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Dr. Heather, leadership when you can't fire people. What's that like?
Leadership when you can't fire people, from a business owner's perspective, could be very challenging. And I think that, yes, as Mindy had mentioned, that people do get caught up in trying to get accomplished what they want to get accomplished for the day, and that holding somebody accountable, they seem to push that on the back burner, and then that employee is not fulfilling the goals of the team or the goals of the company, behavior-wise. And what's happening is if you can't fire that person, everybody around you, all their coworkers are seeing how that person is underperforming.
Yes.
And when they're underperforming, and if they're high performers, they're going to start declining in their performance. And I know this because I have been there personally. And I'm like, why am I busting my butt if
That's true.
Mary Sue is not really doing as much? So I think holding people accountable is something that I hear so often, and even on my videos, that has over 1,000 views on that one video, because people struggle with having to know how to do it.
It's the how.
And that's
It's
definitely.
It's fairness.
Yeah.
It's the how.
It's
And being clear on what those expectations are, and then setting up catch-up times during the week to make sure that whatever's been communicated is actually being done.
And that's the gap I see. Is people, the leaders that haven't had time to or didn't commit to coaching and feedback, and now you're ready to terminate them. But for where I sit, they didn't know they were falling behind. You have to keep communication going with employees and give them regular coaching and feedback for them to really understand they're underperforming. And when you miss those opportunities to communicate, you're missing opportunities to hold people accountable.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Is how do you hold people accountable? I think it's one of the difficult things. But if we talk about hiring, right, and one of the hiring practices is how do I hire people who can communicate and also who can communicate through conflict. And one of the hardest things that we train, not sometimes, that we do train our clients is how do you handle those difficult conversations? How do you get an employee that is doing most of the work? And what we found is that most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're not communicating with the person who is not holding up their end of the bargain. There has been no communication established, and some of the leaders, what they'll do is automatically default to the person who's performing well and give them more tasks. Instead of going back and saying, hey, no, we're not going to give you more tasks. We're going to communicate to the one who's not holding up their end of the bargain and give them the same task and give them opportunities now, pointed directional opportunities to fail or succeed. And then what we found out is when you actually sometimes focus intentionally on that weakest link, they actually become a vital member of your team.
Yes.
One of the parts that we talked about when you talked about, well, Mike isn't doing their job and he's bringing the whole mentality or the overall effectiveness down. The military is a thing that says when you say that you're not there anymore, whether they call it ring out or quit or you are dropped, we never see you again. We never see you. And you know what? And we don't think about it.
No.
Because we're too busy trying to keep ourselves there for the next
fight.
day. But so you don't have an opportunity to infect the group with bad thought or indecision or all of those things because Jonesy isn't there anymore. And we don't think because he was yesterday and we're in the moment trying to go from today to tomorrow. So this has been on the mic with Mike. This is our leadership roundtable here. I didn't think it was going to go this direction, but by looking at this group, it is.
Yeah.
So we have some experts here. We're going to start down on the end. How can folks find you?
You can find us at www.anchorin.co, as well as on LinkedIn at AnchorIn and Facebook. We work with individuals, our clients actually are across industries, and we work with you to be able to harness your leadership skill to lead other people well. So connect with us, and we look forward to hearing from you.
And you're also radio talk show host.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. So that's what they do. They have a program. It's on ESPN Richmond talking about leadership. They bring up different perspectives. One from the DoD side, and the other one is from the military side, which I understand. Mindy? Okay, Mindy, I have another one.
Okay.
We're going to let you go. The person doesn't want to go anywhere. You want Bill or Mike or Joe to be gone.
Okay.
Can you talk to your other HR brethren and sisterin to possibly change that wording?
Well, I really like to try and appeal to people's sense of reasonableness, right? And bring together a meeting of the minds. If you have committed to being a culture where we are here to grow and nurture people, that doesn't always mean that grow and nurture people means they're a fit now or they're going to stay forever. So there has to be honest, transparent, professional, reasonable conversations between both parties on are you a fit now or are you not a fit? And if both parties agree this isn't the work environment for me or this isn't the job for me, that's fine. Let's all work together to set you up for success wherever else you're going to go, in or outside of the organization. You have to appeal to people's sense of reasonableness and make them feel as though you are caretaking of them and their best interest, whether it's in your organization or somewhere else.
Well, thank you. I feel better. I came into this feeling
Where there's
better.
a will, there's a way.
You know what?
That's it.
And being Easter Monday, I feel better now. So, you know, some of the ideas and, questions that I've had in the past have been cleared up.
Good.
I think that's HR done different.
That is HR done differently.
And how can people find you out there?
InspiringHR.com is a lot of good information. We've got a resources page where you can download some free materials. You can sign up for our newsletter. We also have a YouTube channel where I haven't done quite as well as Dr. Heather has at some videos, but I have some quick tips and videos on there as well. And we also have a big presence on LinkedIn, my own personal page, Mindy Flanagan.
Yes, you do.
And our Inspiring HR LinkedIn page itself, which I'm trying to grow followers on.
Your social media game is fine.
I have a lot of fun with it. A lot of fun.
Bill, you guys are a big company, but you're totally committed, and you're on the cutting edge of some really cool things as far as data goes. But they're not hacking. They're, the data where you guys get together and do data.
We do. We typically hold an annual conference that we do where we teach. We help with our we have it called the SQL Trail Seasonal Series, and we teach people how to use SQL, how to use Power BI. So we bring experts to these sessions, and they're free webinars available on our website. So
That's one thing. Tech folks like sharing information.
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
It's good. How can people find you out there as well?
Our website's our best way to find us. It's SQLDataPartners.com. It's SQLDataPartners.com.
Plus, you guys do a lot of great work in the community. Let's touch on that real quickly.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We help with a couple different networking groups. We have monthly networking groups. One's out by the Airport Business Association, meets out on the third Wednesday every month out by the Richmond Airport at the Fairfield Inn and Suites. And then we also are members of WIMBY. WIMBY's What's Happening in My Backyard. It's a great.
That's where I'm coming to.
That's right.
Dr. Heather, you?
This week, Thursday, right? You're coming, Mike?
Yes, it's fun. Yes, it is.
I'm excited that you're coming.
Okay,
I'm
well,
excited
I will
that you're
be
coming.
there.
Excellent.
And Dr. Heather, are you going to something?
I actually am going to the Sandston Airport meeting on Wednesday. I was going to try and go to WIMBY, but I think I have to move it to next month. I have a lot going on this week, but yeah, I'm excited about that.
All right, Dr. Heather, how can people find your book, Magnetic Trust?
Magnetic Trust, you can get it on my website, which is transformationgroupllc.com. You can also get it on Amazon, and you can find me on LinkedIn under Dr. Heather Williamson, and Transformation Group, which, like Mindy, I'm trying to build that up, that business website. And I think, and YouTube, yes, Dr. Heather Williamson on YouTube.
All right, so we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. This is On the Mic with Mike. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Crystal Clear Financial Solutions, as well as Dr. Heather Williamson, Mike King. Always say that what we do is we give back to the community. Last year we donated 19,000 minutes of free airtime. And people say, wow, it's a lot. How do you do it? And I turn to people like this. I got an idea. So when you see people who have radio programs with me, whether it's my man Jerry Howard, who's with us, Nicole Reed, Dr. Danny, the Women's Business Resource Center, whether it is Chesterfield Chamber, they all believe and get that business can help society be better. And what they do is it allows us to do things like this as well. So make sure you follow and support them. If there's any nonprofit that's out there that needs some assistance, we do that every month. We give them training. It's media, organizational skills, as well as fundraising with Nanette Shore. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Once again, Nicole Reed Real Estate is my partner who's made this possible, and we'd like to thank our good friends here at Launch Trampoline Park. Hey, this is the place. Jerry Howard says that he can do a double back. I don't know what he says he can do, but you know, when you're on the trampoline, you can do a lot of things, but I'm injured right now, so I'm not doing nothing right now. On the mic with Mike, we gotta go. Thanks, take care. Oh, if you ever need video, make sure you check out my man DB Arcade. They do the best video work in the business. Emmanuel, he's kind of quick on the trigger because he's telling me the time is up. But if you ever need great video, you can see he does our videos. He does videos for Mama Michelle's Cafe, as well as the Chesterfield Chamber, as well as the Women's Business Resource Center. We got to go. Thanks. Now take care.